All right, guys. So this is Unit 6, Lesson 4. It's a review lesson. So I don't think we have any new content on these pages. We're just going to be making sure that we can really solidify and understand what we've learned so far. Okay. So we're on page 12. We're going to jump right in here. Okay. So starting off with angle relationships, we are going to talk about those four different relationships we talked about in the last two lessons. Okay. So actually, before we even do that, I want to quickly talk about the types of angles that we have. Okay. So I want you to just draw this right here off to the side. Okay. This is just sort of extra, but it's important. Okay. So if I draw an angle like this, what would you guys classify it as? Acute. Does everybody agree? This is an acute angle. And what is its measurement? Yeah, less than or lower than 90 degrees. Okay. So we have acute angles. We have angles that look kind of like this. What would we call this one? Yep, this is obtuse. And how many degrees is it? Greater than 90, more than 90? Absolutely. Okay, what's another one that we have? Straight angle. I'm gonna actually do them up here, okay? I'm running out of room here. So we have straight angles. Yep, and they are equal to 180 degrees. And then lastly, we have right angles, which are, yes, equal to 90. Okay. So before we even start talking about these different angle relationships, I just want to make sure that you guys have those four down, right? Because if we don't know how to classify just simply the types of angles, then doing these relationships becomes a little bit more tricky. Okay. So those are the four different types of angles that we have. We have acute, obtuse, straight, and right. Okay. What'd you say? Yeah, we could do starting points for these. I kind of missed that. And what do we call this starting point that I'm drawing in? What'd you say? It's the vertex. Yep. Did you say origin? Oh, I mean, if we drew it on a graph, it could be the origin, right? Might not be, but it might be. Okay, so we're going to jump into these angle relationships. Okay, you guys, what do we call two angles that are right next to each other and share a common side? Yes, these are our adjacent angles. Okay, so they can look a lot of different ways, right? They share a vertex and they share a side, right? So we could have adjacent angles that look like this, or it could look like this, right? They don't all have to be the same degrees as you draw them out, but we should see that our angles, let's call this angle 1 and angle 2, angle 3, angle 4. Do you guys see how they share a side? Both of these here, they share a side, okay? So they're going to be right next to each other and they're going to share a side. We call those adjacent, okay? Next, we have two angles that are across from one another. What would we call those? Yep. We have vertical angles, okay? So to do a drawing of vertical angles, essentially you want to have two lines that intersect, right? Can anyone tell me what intersect means? Yeah, they cross over each other, right? So where they cross over is our vertex, right? And those angles are going to be the ones that are across from each other, right? So let's call this angle 1 and angle 2. Do you guys see how those are across from each other? Those are vertical angles, right? You guys, if I had, let's say this was angle 3 and angle 4, those two are vertical as well, right? Does everybody see that? Those ones are across from each other as well. Could you guys name me some adjacent angles in that drawing right there? Absolutely. So 3 and 2, do you guys see how those are adjacent? 2 and 4, 4 and 1, and 3 and 1. Those are all adjacent as well in that drawing. Okay. But again, for vertical angles, we're talking about the ones that are across from each other. Okay. So that was lesson 2. We talked all about adjacent and vertical angles. And then the last ones that we talked about just on Friday, we have, yep, complementary and supplementary. Okay. So complementary angles are always going to add up to 90 degrees. So you might see it drawn nicely like this, where each one is 45, right? But you might see them drawn individually as well, right? So let's call this 55 degrees. And then maybe we have an angle like this that's 35 degrees. Okay. So 55 plus 35 gives us 90. Okay. So we can see complementary angles drawn out a few different ways, but we just want to know, or we want to make sure that they add up to 90 degrees. Okay. And then supplementary angles, these are going to be two angles that add up to 180 degrees. Okay. So what you guys are going to be looking for are straight angles. Okay. So 1 and 2, they make a straight angle, right? Or they might be separate. You might have an obtuse angle at 100, right? And then maybe you have an acute angle at 80 degrees, right? When we add those two together, we get 180. Okay. So make sure you have those drawn in. Those are some good examples of each of those different type of angles. It'd be great for review, right? As we get into sort of quiz and test territory probably next week. Okay. Does everybody have those drawn down? I can wait a minute and no rush. Okay. I'll just pause it real quick. Yep. If angles are congruent, that means they are equal. So Charlie, if we looked at this one, do you see how I drew two angles? I know my drawing doesn't look like they're equal, but this is 45 and 45, right? Kind of cuts right through that 90 there. These would be congruent angles, right? Because they're exactly the same, 45 and 45. They're also adjacent because they're right next to each other, and they're complementary because they add up to 90. Does that make sense? So that's a good example of congruent angles as well. Okay. So this problem right here wants us to, oh, is that why you were asking about congruency? Because it showed up there. Yeah. So if we look at this problem right here, they want us to check off all the ones that work for these angles that they show us. Okay. So you guys, since they're sharing a side right here, what would we call that? Adjacent. And when I put an X in something, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just, that's my form of a check mark. You can also put a check mark in there. Okay. You can fill in the box. There's lots of different ways. I just wanted you guys to know I wasn't saying it was wrong. Okay. I'm just saying that's one of our options. Are these vertical? No, right? That means they'd have to be on opposite sides, and they're not. Yep, they're supplementary, right? They add up to 180 as well. Okay. Do these look like they're exactly the same angle? No. So we can cross off those. You don't have to cross them off, but again, just so that you guys can see the ones that they definitely are, right? They're adjacent and they're supplementary. Okay, let's look at number 2. Are these adjacent? Are they vertical? No. You guys, if the angles aren't like sharing a vertex, right? Do you guys see how these both have different vertex? If they don't share a vertex, they can't be adjacent or vertical. Those have to be touching, right, to share a side or to be across from each other. Okay, what do they add up to? 90. So that means they are, yep, complementary and not supplementary. Are they the same? No. So just complementary for that one. Okay. Number 3, are these adjacent or vertical? Vertical, right? They're opposite each other. And what I want you guys to also see is that you can't have angles that are adjacent and vertical at the same time. Okay. So if you ever say that they are both, then just double check yourself. Okay. Um, do we know what these angles add up to? No. So I don't think we can make a statement on if they're complementary or supplementary either, right? because we'd have to know the actual angle measurements. Okay. Are they congruent? Yes, right? If you remember, I think that's another good thing I'm going to add up here. Oh, wait, it already has it. I just forgot to mention it. Vertical angles are always going to be congruent. That's sort of that equal sign that has the little squiggle over it. That just means that those angle measures are the same. Okay. So, yep, those ones are congruent as well. Okay, number 4. How would we classify this? Yep, adjacent. That means they can't be vertical. Do we know what they add up to? No. Are they the same? No. So they're just adjacent angles. Okay, number 5. We've got kind of a lot going on here, but 1 and 2, they're adjacent. That means they're not vertical. What do they add up to?
Oh, number 5.
Just, okay. We are on number 5, and the angles we're talking about are just 1 and 2. So when we add 1 and 2 together, 90 degrees. Does everybody agree with that? Okay. If it was supplementary, we would be saying that this plus this is 180, right? Which is true, but we only want to know 1 and 2, right? They're going to make a nice 90-degree angle right there. Okay. Are these the same measure? No, right? One of them's way smaller than the other. And then what type of angles are these right here? They're acute angles, right? Together, they're a right angle, but individually, they are both acute, right? And if I added all these angles together, what type of angle is that? It's a straight angle, right? Okay, good job. Okay, number 6. They are vertical. They're congruent. Yep. And supplementary, right? Because 90 plus 90 is going to give us 180 degrees there. Okay. So just so that you guys have the right answers there, I know we were doing it together, but if for some reason you didn't have those written down, just want to let you guys see them real quick, and then we will move on. Okay. All right. So moving on, we did a lot of this the last few days, and I just want to make sure we really get this because this is probably the more tricky part of these angles. I know that sort of just identifying them and classifying them isn't too bad, but finding out missing angle measures can be a little tricky. Okay. So again, I showed you sort of the algebra for it, but if all you're looking for is a missing angle and it's not some equation, right? If it's just x, what you can do is identify the angle. So what should those two add up to? It's a straight angle, right? They should add up to 180. So if I know 180 is the whole, to find the missing part, all I have to do is subtract what I know. Okay. 157, 147. Okay. Does everybody see how to do that? So again, if all you're looking for is x, if all you're looking for is just the angle itself, you can take the whole thing, which you need to know how these relationships work, right? They're adjacent angles that add up to 180, so they're supplementary, right? All you have to do is take the whole minus the part. Okay. If we look at number 8, what type of, I know you guys could probably find it. What type of angle is it? It's a right angle, so that means they add up to 90. So take the whole minus the part, and then Dean, what did you get? Is it 37? Oh yeah, sorry, I was thinking about 100. Yep, you're right. 37 degrees. I was thinking they added up to 100 for a second. Okay. How about number 9? What is x? What do we know about vertical angles? They're congruent, which means they're equal, right? So x is 72 degrees. Okay. Vertical angles are always going to be the same. Okay. And understanding that will help us on the next page as we start doing a little bit more tricky problems. Okay. So let's flip the page here. Looking at page 13. Okay. If we look at number 10 here, we've got 3 different angles that we're looking for. Okay. What I want you guys to see here is that X, Y, and Z, I could have called them angles 1 and 2 and 3. Okay. So if you see letters, don't freak out. I know that we're sort of new to letters in math. It's just missing angle measures. Does that make sense? We're trying to find all the angle measures. Okay. So which one can we find out really easy and really quick? Yeah, Wrangler. Yeah. So you guys, if you're ever given an angle and you see that there's one that's vertical, that's going to be the easiest one to find because they're exactly the same. So X equals, Y equals, and Z equals. I'm just going to write the answers as we go. Okay. So Y is 151. Does everybody see Y? Sorry, pun not intended there. They're equal on both sides, right? Because it's vertical. Okay. X and Z are also vertical. So once we find one of those, we can know the other. How are we going to find X or Z? Does everybody see that this right here is a straight angle? Okay, so I can take 180 minus 151. What do I get? 49 degrees? Okay, so if X is 49, what does Z have to be? X and Z are vertical, so they should be the same. And 151 should be the same. Is it not 49? Can you guys all do 180 minus 151? Is it 29, guys? Okay. All right, guys. So
Yeah.
is it actually 29? Okay. So you guys moving forward, please double check with the calculator because I'm just taking your word for it right now, right? I know I should be double checking as well, but let's move on. Okay. Let's see. It's a right angle. So yep. Does everybody see that? Take the whole thing, 90 minus 29. What is Y? Can everybody agree with that before I write it down in pen? Okay. 61 degrees. Okay. How about X and 29? How do we find X?
It's 180.
Does everybody see that? 180 minus 29. Yep. Can we do anything with X and Z here? No, because they're both obtuse. Yes, we can do Z and Y. I'm just saying that we can't do anything this way. Okay. Yep. So 180 is this whole thing minus 61, which is our Y. What did you guys get?
We sure?
Okay. I appreciate that we're double checking now. Okay. Does everybody get that one? Okay. I don't want to go too fast. I want to make sure we understand this here. Okay. If we look at number 12.
There's a straight angle there.
Okay. So can we do Y and Z right now? Not yet, right? Does everybody see that? This plus this plus this is 180. So what we can do is we can take the whole thing minus 88, 1 second, minus 37. That will give us X.
We could add a.
Yep. Either way is totally fine.
55 is X. 55.
Okay. We got 55 for X. Y. Exactly.
55.
Okay. Does everybody see that X and Z are vertical? So that means they're identical. And then Y and Z, it's a straight angle again. So 180 minus 55 gives us
Uh,
125. I agree. Okay. So those are our angle measures there for X, Y, and Z. Okay. All right. If we take a look at these next few problems, it says angle R and angle S are complementary. What does that mean they add up to? 90. And if I know that R is 27, how am I going to find S? Yeah. So I can just take the whole thing minus 20. You're absolutely right in what you said though, Wrangler. So what does angle S equal? What's 90?
Think.
63.
Just wanted to double check. Okay. So we know they're complementary. We know that means 90 when we add them together. And we can just subtract off what we know. Okay. If these two angles are vertical, 1 and 2, what is the measure of angle 1? They're vertical angles. So what do we know about vertical angles? They're congruent, right? So what is the measure of angle 1? Yeah, it's exactly the same thing, 115. Okay. And if these two angles are supplementary, that means they add up to 180. So what I can do is I can take 180 minus the part, and that's going to give me angle C, which is going to equal. Does everybody agree with that? Okay. 131. Okay. And then this is some more review on the last things that we've been talking about, right? These are a little bit more complex because they've got a little bit more algebra involved in them. Okay. So how do we classify these angles right here? Vertical, which means they are congruent or equal, right? So what do I need to do with these two angles? 7x? Did you say zx? Okay, so the two things should be set equal to one another. Okay. When I'm solving for x, what's my first step? Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other, right? So subtract 23. And then how do I undo multiplication? Yep. To undo multiplication, I divide. And I get 13 as my x. Is 13 the degrees of this angle right here?
What you said.
Exactly. So what should this angle actually be? 114 because they're identical. Yep. So you could plug it in to find 114, but since we know they're the same thing, we just know it's 114. Okay. All right. If I look at number 17 here, what kind of angle is this? It's a right angle. What does it add up to? 90. And again, hear what I said. It adds up to 90. So that means both of these angles added together equals 90. Okay. So I'm going to write it the long way. 7x minus 1 plus 63 equals 90. What was the way that I taught you guys you could do it?
Just.
You can just combine like terms right here. So what does that give me? What's 63 minus 1? 62. So if you just started like this, that would be okay as well. Okay, if you want to save yourself the step. But again, writing it out the long way is not a bad idea. Okay. So to undo this, I'm going to subtract 62,
48.
28. And then as Hudson told us, it should be 4. And again, 4 is not our angle measure. It's just the x. If I want to find out what this angle is, I should plug 4 in for my x, okay? So when I do that, just because I want to show you guys what we get, 7 times 4 minus 1 gives me what? Yeah, 27 degrees. Okay. So if I was asked, what is the measure of this angle? I could plug it in and find 27. Okay. Let's see here. Let's do number 18. What kind of angle is that? They're adjacent. Does that help us find the angle measure? Not quite. Adjacent angles don't always equal the same thing. What else do we notice about this angle? Okay, so it's a straight angle, right? It's 180 degrees. It's supplementary, right? Just to use some of those words. So it adds up to 180, right? So let's add these together and let's just combine like terms. Okay, so I've got 6x. There's nothing else to add to that. What's 44 plus 10? 54. And it adds up to 180. Okay, so let's work through this. We're going to subtract 54. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do the other, right? So I'm left with 6x equals 126. And what do I get when I divide by 6? Should be a whole number. Did everybody get 21 degrees? Okay. So x is 21 degrees. Okay. Okay, you guys, I'm going to leave you there and give you some problems, but I want to talk through 19 through 21 real quick. I'll let you guys, it's not supposed to be there. Let me just talk through the rest of this and then I'll assign the homework, okay? So number 19 here, what kind of angles are these? They're vertical. Do you guys see how, because I know they're on the outsides, but what we're saying is these two angles. These two are vertical, that means they need to be set equal to each other, right? If I look at these two, what should they add up to? 90, right? We've got that little square there. And then again, this Z isn't supposed to be here. These add up to 180. Okay. So if you were to do those problems, they'd be very similar to the problems we just did. Okay. So if you want to do those for practice, you can. We might do the maze another time. We're not going to do it today though. Okay. I'd like you guys to do page 15 for homework. You've got 10 minutes to get started here. You should be able to get the first 9 done pretty quick, actually. Okay. So work on, again, page 15, numbers 1 through 15, okay? If you have any questions, let me know. Page 16 is not homework. We might look at it for some extra help at some point, okay?